Morning all. Hope we got here fine. Susie, thanks very much. I come along to very few of these events. And I come along to Shared Service Link because I like the honesty. We're all busy. We're taking 2 days out. What I like about Susie and the team is they're honest. They don't know the answer. They'll find somebody who will and won't know you. And some of the people she's put up there in terms of the suppliers, I know some of them from the past, people like Martin and Trend Tech, they're good people. And I'm not here to sell anything, but I will say to you basically about it all. It's about what you put in today. And when you talk about mindset, I'm back with Susie, you leave the work behind. These 2 days, for what it is, for a lot of people, is the only 2 days here you get any development whatsoever. John F. Kennedy said in 1962 once, he says, everybody should have equal opportunity to develop what talent they have, but not everybody's got the same talent. Those 2 days today for you is the opportunity, because you know what? There's a simple equation for development. PR equals PD, personal responsibility for personal development. And coming here today, you've got to leave the work outside the door, and it's really, really important for that. Switching off phones, iPads, golf clubs, whatever you've brought with you for the evening in terms of it all, just leave them away from it all. Genuinely, honestly. Glad to be here. Kicking off today to talk about mindset change, and particularly around alignment of process deliverables and needs for ourselves. A wee bit about why we're here, what we're trying to do in terms of things, some of the background. 5 steps that I think that's there. They're my views. That's my truth. You're willing to accept it, reject it, take it whichever way you want. I'm Dan Foley. I'm Global Shared Service Interact with a company called Mouchel. We do 2 things, effectively. We manage BPO contracts for a number of public sector organizations, and we manage the highways. So if you're actually up and down the motorways and anywhere in Europe or in Australia or in the Middle East or in this country, we tend to have something to do with you being delayed. That's the reality of it all. So this morning I got up basically in Blackpool. I got the drive to Manchester, I got the train down here, and I got the tube, and I walked here, and I did get lost getting here. I didn't see anything from my side of the house. I was quite happy. There were no breakdowns along the way. I've been in shared services about 14, 15 years. I find it quite sexy, actually. I find it really sexy. If I go to dinner parties, they tell them I'm in shared services. And they look at you and they say, what's that? It's really fun. And genuinely, I tell that to people, and you can have a really good, enjoyable time in it all. I've been very lucky in my career so far. I've worked in some really good organisations like Diageo, M&S in Manchester, ITV, and International Australia Group. And I've been through the rigour in terms of strategy and regional managers for Asda and all that sort of good stuff. So I've been on both sides of it all. I've got one thing to say about shared services. There's no magic dust. There's very few people doing anything really new. Here's an opportunity to find out people are doing it differently and better. So why we're here this morning, I think it's back down to the 3-way stage question every time over and over again. Cost, quality, service, which is important? And you could sit there for yourself and say, well, I think cost is important because I'm under pressure in my budget. I think time's important because I need to get things done quicker, faster, efficient, and effective. I think quality is important because you know what? I work somewhere where money's not an object. I work with the Abu Dhabi government or whoever. I don't have to worry one bit about it whatsoever. We're making chandeliers. We don't have to worry about it. We just take our time, do it properly in terms of that. Whatever it actually is, like if you rank them there right now for yourself, let's have a quick show. Take a minute. Which would be the number 1 for you? Take a moment. Is it cost? Is it quality or service? How many people put service number 1 out of those 3? Show of hands. Okay, we're talking about 25, 30%. Some people are not sure. They've got some hands up and not sure, right? Okay, what about quality? How many people feel quality is important? Okay, we probably doubled it up, and the rest of you are in cost, potentially, yeah? We got 3 or 4 people in cost as well. I don't know what the answer is, I'll be honest with you. I don't think there is one real answer. It depends the industry you're in, the time of you're in, the specific circumstances. But what I would say to you is that in terms of service, it's about mindset. And when we try and make decisions in service, I think the blood either goes to the heart or it goes to the head. If it goes to the head, you tend to make the right decisions by and large. If it goes to the heart, emotion kicks in. And emotion, being Irish in terms of, we tend to make a lot of the wrong decisions along the way in these things. You will arrive at your own decisions in this, but let me look at a very simple diagram as to how I see the mindset change that we're looking at. Mindset is all about a state of play. It's about attitude. It's about belief. It's about values. It's about behavior. If I cut you open, what do you bleed? That in all gives rise to behaviors. Those behaviors will give you an output through actions, the right actions to get you there. And the cybernetic control model here that we all love being in this sort of world is it's all about performance and metrics and KPIs and all that sort of stuff. And we can go back again. And if we want to actually change performance, for a lot of us, it's changing the mindset. Any high-performance coach of any actual organization, particularly in sporting life, will tell you, it's not about the output. It's about where you start in a lot of the journey. And it's about how you're feeling. So last night, Novak Djokovic lost to Rafael Nadal. Nadal, 9 months ago, couldn't walk effectively with his knees. He's just come back. He's won 2 more titles. He is 4 titles away in tennis from Grand Slam beating Roger Federer. A year ago, people said that couldn't happen. But his mindset has been, I am going to get better. I'm going to get better every day. And we'll come back to this over and over again for ourselves. What is mindset? It's a set of beliefs or a way of thinking that determines one's behavior, outlook, and mental attitude. Mindset is driven by many things. It's about where you grew up, who you associated with, what are the social norms you're part of. And in a business sense, mindset is very about organization. The mindset in Diageo, which was a FTSE 10 company, was very different from the mindset in ITV. In ITV, in the media industry, you were dealing with people like Simon Cowell, Katie Price. There was a very different perspective in life in these people. In Diageo, we were selling products, we were selling drink, we were selling alcoholic products worldwide. Depending on where we were, the characteristics were very different. The mindset was very, very different than that. So it's about unlocking that for ourselves today and making the most of it all. A number of years ago, I got somebody to come in and actually work on shaping the mindset of the new organization. And this is about a slide 6 years old, which I picked up a few weeks ago when doing the prep around this. And the person who went there was all about creating this culture of operational excellence at the top of the pyramid in some ways. There were 4 key things that drove it. But going back to the 2 top items, you had your beliefs and values. And I can't stress so much about how important it is to where you want to go. The 4 items were the outcomes, knowing where you want to be. 2, the rapport, how you actually get things done. What does your mindset tell you to get things done? Are you of basically the variety that, we're going to get this through the wall, I don't really care, I was related to the Hitler Youth and it's happening? Or are you of a view that you're more collegiate? You want to talk to people. You want to bring people on board. You want to be part of the process and solution rather than taking the leadership that's there. Similarly, sensory awareness. It's that ability to pick up, understand, touch, feel. When you walk into an office, you often say, well, what do I feel? It's not just that. What do you touch? What do you sense? What do you hear? If you walk into a new organization and you go into a room, leave the door open. What do you hear out there? What do you sense? What do you feel? If you walk through the office, are people's eyes burning into your back? Are people waving at you going by? Do you understand what's going on? That's what the sensory awareness is about. And the last one, flexibility, is all about change, which is the only constant in it all. To us, when we've been building up a service organization, they've been the 4 pillars of change in the mindset. If you've got a rigor in either your outcomes rapport, sensory awareness, or flexibility, it is very hard to change the mindset. Very, very hard. However, we've got a defined service. Now, we could get consultants in, and I think service is just 7 words. I care, you deserve to be happy. Very simple. That's what customer service to me is about. Changing mindset and service is about caring. It's about making people happy. Either personally, professionally, customer, socially, whatever way it actually is. It's simple, it's effective, and you don't need massive, massive amounts of detail. If you go back to where you've seen the best service proposition, in some ways, to me it's been in the States. Ordering a sandwich in America, in New York, is a fantastic, it's like, they should film it over and over again. It's a fantastic thing. They just don't give you a sandwich, they give you an experience. And they want to bring you back over and over again. Do you want this with it? And you're sitting there looking at, how big is the sandwich going to be? How much am I going to pay for it? Am I going to get through expenses through Concur later on? I don't know. That's a spot for Concur there. I care, you deserve to be happy. It's about shaping that mindset over and over again. So, let's talk a few things about the first thing of my 5 steps is we're talking to ourselves about, what is business needs and wants? I think a lot of people, when you're out there in terms of service, your customer demands things. And the question is, do they really need those items or not? Do they really want those items? Let's take an example of customer service query. Everybody wants gold standard. Everything's urgent. I want it in 24 hours. I need that now. Do you need it or do you want it? Coming here today, I would have loved to have flown down. I don't have the budget for it. So getting here was important. I wanted to be here. I wanted to fly, but I didn't need to fly. And sometimes breaking down that. In a service organization, the starting base of this is very, very different. What can you actually want and what do you need? I think you've got to go back out and listen, particularly to the customer in this. And the best free advice I can ever get is complaints. They're fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. If you want to go back out and hear what people are saying, read the complaints log. 2 days ago at work, somebody said to me, Dan, you're very good at saying sorry. I says, I get a lot of actual practice here in this organization. Genuinely. We paid the chairman twice last month. That was a very interesting conversation, particularly as he was going to the audit committee. And he turned to the rest of the audit committee and says, who else is being paid twice here? I says, yes, yes, mister. Yeah. Coming back over and over again. If you don't listen to these things, you're never going to pick it up. Feedback's a gift. We get lots of feedback. We're in the service industry. We get feedback over and over again. Most people, when somebody says, thank you very much, but, I ignore everything before the word but, because it's not meant. It's like when somebody's splitting up with somebody. I think you're a lovely girl, a lovely boy, but we're not compatible. Forget about the starting base to it all. It's all about the piece after. And to me, if we don't go back and listen to our feedback over and over again, but we've got to put a lens of truth in it. We've all come across customers who are not into centralization, who are not into outsourcing, who don't believe, who want the control around them. They don't want to work with you. So therefore, you have to put the lens of truth around that and be honest and objective about it. Similarly, surveys. We talked there, the survey one. I think you're absolutely right. What a fantastic dichotomy there this morning of, was it 70% of people said, fantastic, we're building the customer service, yet 47% didn't even know what it was. You're back again to, that's what stats tell you. 56% of people, when I did my customer satisfaction survey last year, we're gearing up for the next one. I like straight answers. I don't like maybes or sitting on the fence. It gives you splinters and it doesn't help you in a service organization. I like people telling me the truth. Very simple question at the end. Do you recommend us for service? Yes or no? And you could not move on in SurveyMonkey until you had actually done that piece. 56% of people recommended us a service, 44% didn't. And you know what? It was fantastic, because that would give us the opportunity for that 44 was going to be go and find them and work with them. The other opportunity in the 56 was to delight them and move them forward. Focus groups, service reviews, if you don't do them, you have to, because that will go out and tell you the actions that are needed there. Similarly, opinion leaders. You will have people out there in the business who will support you, come hell or high water. When we double paid the chairman, the CFO said, it's a blip. I know that we can actually work it through. We'll run some diagnostics and prove that that was a one-off element, which we were able to do over the weekend for ourselves. The continual process improvement programs are as important. But the first thing for me, the first step on this journey, define business needs, not wants. Business might want everything. The question is, do they need it? The second one is basically then, once you've got the first part done of, well, what do they want? Determine how you're going to service it. How do you actually meet the business requirement? What's your service offering? What's your performance promise? What are you telling people you're going to do for yourself along the way? And this goes back to the key thing is, where are you on the service journey? Are you Siamese twins? If something happens with your customer, are they automatically getting you involved? Do they involve you even before because they trust you so much? Or are you the servant, which is, you'll do it, and you'll do it now because that's your role in life? Are you actually a partner? We hear the word over and over again, business partnering. What does that actually mean? What does actually business partnering mean? Partner is a very strange word. Partnership can be very unbalanced, and it's about going out and understanding that. And you've got to say to yourself, when your customer service survey comes into you, do your customers see you as trouble? In fact, nothing is ever done there to the way I, as the customer, want it. Are you seen as genuine support? Do you know what? I really like you on the journey. You're like a submarine. You rise up. You're beside us all the way in the journey. And you rise up for air. You come back. You work with us. And you go back down again. And you're out of the way. Or are you really value add? And to me, stage 2 is all about the next 3 or 4 items. If you've defined the want, and you've defined the need, and you've determined that it's about basically what the need is, how are you going to meet the need? How are you going to provide the service at cost, appropriate quality, referenceability, real value add, and in a controlled environment? And how are you going to write into your service level, your operating level with the business, and your underlying contract? I would love to do more in my current organization, but unfortunately the IT solution isn't there. So if we have to have a proper IT solution, our underlying contract, which is supporting you to do your job, needs to be fairly explicit. I've given up, at the age of 45, implying things to people. It doesn't work. Tell them, explain to them, make it simple, make it words in one syllable, and I think it helps it through the line. But the bottom line there for me, once you've actually decided on how you're going to service, will it conflict your delivery elsewhere? So then, item 3 is you've got to go back to your strategy. Because, you've been asked to do this thing by your business, and you're trying to align process, delivery, and performance. But should you even be doing the service? You've got to go back and check it yourself. You go back to your vision and strategic framework. How many people here have got a vision and strategic framework for their shared service centre? Hands up high, because we get lost in these, hands out of the way. Wow, interesting. 30% of people. If you don't have a vision, you ain't going to know where you're going to go. Visions are very inspirational in their own way. Henry T. Ford said, I want every home in America to have a car. He said it in 1923-24. He was laughed at. My God, how wrong was then? John F. Kennedy had said in 1961, he says, I want to put a man on the moon. How inspirational that vision? Well, 1964, Lyndon Johnson walked into Cape Canaveral in NASA in Florida. He puts his coat into the cloakroom. He says to the cloakroom attendant, what do you do here? Mr. President, he says, I'm helping put a man on the moon. Not, I'm taking your coat and I'm giving you a ticket and I hope I might see you again to give you your coat back because it's a really interesting job. No, I'm here to put a man on the moon. Vision's really important. If you don't have a vision, you've got to go back. You've got to go back and talk to your line manager and say, what is the vision for shared service in this organization? Because you've got to go back and say to yourself, should you be even contemplating the servicing request? If so, how are you going to meet it? How are you going to complete it? What are you going to do differently? And how do you make sure that going back to the previous element, you cover the right cost, controlled environment, value add, and at the same time ensuring that you've got referenceability? Because if you do this well for this customer, you may have the opportunity to drive more scale, more scope, and more work into your shared service center. If you don't align to your strategy and you bring in stuff left field, trust me, you will get burned. Because all of a sudden, your price and model isn't going to make sense. And once one customer hears you're doing it, they will all want it. And if it is not part of your vision, your strategic framework, then you've got to find a way to do that. If you don't have a vision and strategic framework, go get one. Bring one, buy one, steal one, borrow one, whatever you want to do. There's plenty of stuff on the Shared Service Centre Links website. The fourth one, in the words of Bill Clinton, it's the economy stupid, it's people stupid. Mindset changes can only be driven by a certain breed of people. I said to you early on about, blood only going to the head or to the heart. That's really, really important. I wasn't being facetious about that. How hard in your organization, on a normal day-to-day basis, is to get the right people in the right place, doing the right thing at the right time? Now, you would think that's not hard to do. My kids started a new school. Schools tend to get it right by and large. How come big organizations like Shared Service and this can't seem to get that right? It's about mindset. It's about the fact we give people the opportunity to think a bit more. And some people are the wrong people. You've got to employ people who get it. And getting it means understands. Really, really understands what's going on. They're constructive. They'll get there. They're positive, but they're actually constructive about life. They're action-orientated. They're not going to sit there and sit back and go, what do you think yourself? And, they'll go behind the tree before actually going forward. They need to be self-confident. They need to be self-starters. They need to be completer finishers. I call them the pizza man and the pizza woman. They need to always deliver. And it's not just about completing the process. It's about owning it. It's about loving it. It's about improving it. It's about touching it. It's about feeling it. It's about really living it over and over again. They're the sort of people you need in your organization. Training development. These people will have real needs. You've got to focus on them. Can you change the mindset of your team who are a non-change requirement? I think you've got to try and change the people. If not, you change the people. You need actions, different people, problem solvers, design architects, operational gurus. Anybody know Mind Candy, who Mind Candy are? Anybody know who Mind Candy are? Moshi Monsters. Anybody know who Moshi Monsters are? Yeah? The bane of adults. Absolutely. Obviously, a lot of people don't know what Moshi Monsters. You need to go to somewhere to find. 2 months ago, Mind Candy are the company that own Moshi Monsters. They have actually opened a new office, 4 floors here in London. And they've actually got a slide to go through the whole office, believe it or not. And the reason being was the boss there said, actually, do you know what? We need to get from the top floor to the first floor fairly quickly to do things. And rather waiting in the lift or going down the stairs, why don't we have people sliding down? Different. I went to see it. It doesn't stop at any of the third, second, or first floor, so there's an opportunity for process improvement. But the mindset change is such, right, that people are flying up and down and doing things. And sometimes you've got to put in place the structure and the rigor and the opportunities about it all. If you're doing continual process improvement, in some cases, start with the premise that people will have no idea what you're talking about. And when the hands go up and say, have you done process improvement before? All the hands will go up. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Give us an example. Hand down very quickly. Keep out of the way. Get behind the tree. Don't look at me. However, what you've got to do is different. You've got to say to people, actually, do you know what? Let's start with an example. Let's start with an example that's got nothing at all to do to work. And you build in the premises around it all. And about 2 weeks before you do any process improvement, get a big sheet of white paper and put it in a place in the office. And put a number of stickies on it. And say to people, write up there what you want. Write up there what you want in process improvement. And take your time out to do that. Because you know what people will do? If they're in a room and people are watching them, unless they're self-confident and they're the right people, they will find it tough. However, if you give them the opportunity to work at their own pace and get it on the wall, you will get loads of ideas even before you start at all. You've shaped the mindset already. Because you've said to people, I'm not going to treat you as cattle, I'm going to treat you as an individual. Get your views up there. We did a night TV. We got 61 items on the wall, even before we started. We ended up with 800 ideas. That 61 gave us £250,000 worth of changes in 1 year. And when you take your averaging processing person is paid probably 16, 17,000 in the northwest in this country, loaded on fees and all 22,000, you're talking about 11 to 12 people by doing that work. So you had a 10% efficiency very quickly in my operation by doing that. Give people the opportunities. Shaping the mindset, you've got to let people go with it. And here's again, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Yeah? Over and over again. It's the same way of doing it isn't going to make you any different. You've got to break out from the norm. And real mindset change. And the fifth thing for me is once you've actually determined what needs and wants are, once you've determined how to service them, once that's in line with your strategy and you've got a cost control, performance, referenceability, and value-add perspective in it all, and once you've got people lined up, it's then process. And process follows at the last line. Rather than a lot of people going to process to start with, my professional view is process follows the last line. And that's where the real mindset changes. If anybody's actually seen Apollo 13, the movie, there's a fantastic piece in it. And Apollo 13 was basically, again, whereby the actual, one of these moon-type landing items, if you believe people went to the moon or not, that's your own choice. And I thought, all right. But that's your truth, that's your mindset, you shape that accordingly, right? This capsule was stuck in space, was stuck behind the moon. And they were in big trouble. They were running out of oxygen. They'd effectively something like 21 hours. And you're going back to where this was not, they weren't tweeting and doing things like that, telling them how bad things were up there. They were in big trouble. They had 1 or 2 communication lines, depending on which way the sun was looking. However, they were running out of oxygen. On the base down below, they actually recreated what was in the actual capsule. Now, a moon landing capsule probably is about from here to about there. You probably double it up in size out there. That's the size of a moon landing capsule. And there's a fantastic piece in there in the film. It's Tom Hanks in it as well, if anybody likes Tom Hanks. Guy goes into the room, a guy called Ned Strauss, and he throws on the table everything that was in the capsule. He says, that's what they have up there. Come up with a way to make this happen. And I always take that back into process improvement. This is what they have up there. You've now got to come up with a way to actually change it. There's no point thinking to yourself, we're going to have another version of SAP or Oracle when you don't have the money to do that. You've got to find the right way and the right tools, and you've got to review and understand the whole CPI processes for ourselves. I think without mindset changes, particularly in process, the norm stays the norm. There's no reason to change. Most people in life don't want to change. Be very wary if you meet people who say, I'm change orientated. The chances are 1 in 2 may not be. It's a front. It actually says, I'm actually anti-change, but I'm not going to tell you that up front. You've got to use some form of continual process improvement. There are many ways, right? Lean Six Sigma, Kaizen, Blitz Kaizen. I go back again. There's no magic dust. If you can't afford it, the stickies do it just as well as anything else. The Post-its, there is no point actually thinking to yourself, I can have got all the money to invest in the world, when actual fact, that's what they have up there. Put it on the table in front of you and work it through. But the key thing on the process side, it's about maximizing scarce resource. It's like expenses. How many people here now still audit and check 100% of expenses? Hands up. You got one in the front, two at the back, right? How many people don't check 100% of expenses anymore? Right, you three have got a process improvement, straight up for yourself. Depending on the industry you're in, depending on the control environment you're in, but there's an opportunity there for yourself. Changing that, in my organization at the moment, I had 10 people processing expenses when I went in. They checked everything. It was fantastic that we knew one salesman on the road had put in a lunch receipt for £3.20, which was a packet of Marlboro Lights. Absolutely fantastic, we knew that. No value whatsoever. And the reality was there was no behavioral change because nobody went back and disciplined that person for putting in an incomplete, an expense claim that was not in line with the process. All of this is going to impact on service. And if you get the fifth one right out of it all, in my view, you'll have an opportunity to not only outperform your customer, but delight them. Here's my way forward in it all. We diagram there. Comfort zone and being out of the comfort zone. It's taking you away from that. You can't duck the mindset changes. You must take the lead. Leadership has got, I call it the JEDI principle. Judgment, edge, drive, influencing, managing people at that moment in time. Get the senior stakeholders to buy into it. There's no point trying it with the troops when your boss, the commanders in general, aren't going to buy into this part of it all. They don't need to know it all. They need to know what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and the benefit you're going to give at the end of the day. Is it done in a controlled environment, and is it referenceable going forward? Be simple. Keep it simple, keep it stupid, don't overcomplicate the stuff. Deal in facts. You've got to take out the emotions out of these things. Emotions will change this completely. And if you go factually into the mindset change, you will deal with it better over and over again. Act with speed, but certainty is very key. Do some pre-planning, it helps at the end of the day, rather than just turning up and saying it's all going to go well. And if you're actually going to go into the business area, get your best people together in your SWAT team and get them out there. Because let them be the actual vanguard of where you're going. I trained to be a priest many years ago, and the Roman Legion was very much a part of our learning, and a lot of the Roman Catholic Church is driven by legionary element to it all. The vanguard is what the Legion, the best soldiers were at the front. Why? Because they were the beachhead to land. They were the people to start and to drive through the change. If you start with the duffers and the people you don't trust that you can't, you will go nowhere. And they will be who you will be represented by. Get the best people up front, get them on the mindset change, and get them out of their comfort zone. However, always use KPIs to reference it all. I love people that say, oh, I'm not happy with your service. All right. But we hit 85% of your KPIs last month. Yeah, but I'm still not happy. Why? You never turned up to the service reviews. Yeah, but I'm still not happy. I'm too busy to turn up to service reviews. Let me go to you. Let me go to you and work you through it all. Let me show you the KPIs. However, just because something is green doesn't mean it's actually live. A lot of things green can turn out to be gangrene very, very quickly. So in summaries, we can all do it better. It doesn't matter what service organization you are. This morning I've had the highways agencies, I've had Virgin Rail, I've had London Underground, and I've had my shoes walking up and down here getting lost. They are all different serving, but it's leadership. And you are the leaders in the room here. You've got to take this forward. Changing mindset is difficult. It's like basically single people who find love for the first time. It's very, very hard for them to actually move on. They like their own way. They like at 8 o'clock at night to turn on the TV and watch a program. That doesn't work anymore when you've actually moved in with somebody else. Trust me, it's part of it all. Alignment. I love people saying we should all agree about everything. Since when should we agree about anything at all? Are we part of some religious organization, some holistic view in Tibet that we should all be agreeing everything? It's ridiculous. Alignment is key for what it is. One of my rules of engagement with my team is aim for alignment. If 75% of people agree in something, it's up to the other 25% of people to convince them otherwise. Otherwise, you align. What were the 5 things we talked about? 1, define the business needs, not the wants. Determine your actual service proposition. Thirdly, align to vision and strategy. The 4th one is the people stupid, don't forget that one. And the 5th one is get your processes in line. If you get needs, delivery, and the support and process in the right angle with the right people, I think you can make a big difference to where you go. A very, very big difference. Go back again, when you get the opportunity, look back again at the mindset performance loop. It's that cybernetic control model, and keep it simple and stupid. Do all the thinking, do all the talking, but make sure you do some doing. A lot of people come along to these events and go, oh God, it was brilliant, and don't take one thing back with them. I love when people go to these events, like I always say, well, you should present back. Tell me what you learned. Oh, I was shopping for the second day, so I need to refigure out what's going on in that. Yeah. Time for changes here. There are no effective excuses. It's all ahead of you. And the question is, are you ready? You should be. Thank you very much.